I always tell people this: machines don't scare me. People do. Well, that was before I started working nights at the old hydrogen plant. The place was technically decommissioned, but a couple of lines still ran for testing, so they kept a skeleton crew, one control operator, one mechanical tech. That night, I was the tech. Lucky me. I clocked in around 8 in the evening, grabbed my radio, my toolbox, and my little beat-up notebook with all the weird things I'd seen on shift. You ever work somewhere that already feels tired when you walk in? Like the building itself doesn't want to be awake. That plant felt like that. First few hours were normal. Tightened a few leaking flanges, bled some air out of a pump, walked the same rusted catwalks I'd walked 100 times. The control room lights were this sick yellow that made everyone look half dead. My operator that night was Paulo, eyes glued to the screens, like always. Around, I'd say close to 11 at night, Paulo calls me on the radio. "Hey, can you check the north pump room? I'm getting a pressure spike on line 3. The valve there should be closed." Line 3. That was weird. We didn't even use that one anymore. Everything was supposed to be blanked off. I grabbed my flashlight and headed out. The north pump room was in the oldest wing of the plant. You had to walk past these big empty basins and rows of dead piping that led nowhere. No sound except my boots and the wind sneaking through broken panels. You ever walk somewhere and feel like the darkness is thicker than it should be? Like your light has to push through it? That's how that corridor felt. I got to the pump room and did the usual thing. Checked the door tag, scanned around. The door was closed, locked with the same padlock from earlier that week. I had locked it myself after doing maintenance inside. I radioed Polo. "North pump room is locked." "You sure it's line 3? "Yeah," he said, sounding annoyed. "Instrument says line 3. Valve is open and flow is increasing." That made no sense. The manual valve was inside, and the remote actuator had been disconnected months ago. I unlocked the door and stepped in. You know that old smell of oil, dust, and metal? It hit me immediately. My flashlight swept over the room. Pumps lined up like sleeping beasts. Pipes overhead like a steel jungle. Everything quiet. Then I saw it. Valve tag L303. The hand wheel was turned fully open. I froze. I knew I had left that valve closed. I remember the resistance when I'd cranked it shut last time, the way my shoulder had popped. There was even a red "Do Not Operate" tag hanging from it, signed with my name, and now it was open. I checked the stem position, the lock, everything. The tag was still there, but the plastic was twisted, like someone had spun it around while turning the wheel. I radioed again. "Paulo, I'm at L303. Valve is open. Did someone come here on day shift?" "No," he said, more alert now. "Nobody's been assigned to that area for weeks. Can you close it?" Part of me didn't want to touch it. I know how stupid that sounds. It's just steel and threads and seals, right? But something in my chest tightened. I felt watched, but the entire room was empty. "Yeah," I muttered. On it, I put my gloved hands on the wheel and started cranking it shut. It fought me the whole way, like it didn't want to move. The metal creaked, my gloves squeaked, and the air felt heavier with every turn. When I finally got it closed, I felt this weird wave of relief, like the room exhaled with me. "Valve shut," I told Paulo. "Check your pressure. Yeah, it's dropping now." "Thanks, man." I started to walk back when the overhead lights flickered. Just once, but long enough to kill my flashlight for a split second. When it came back, there was a wet footprint on the concrete, a few meters away from me. Barefoot, toes, arch, heel. Clear as day, glistening in my light. And then another one, a little farther, like someone had just stepped out of a pool. I stood there, heart pounding. The floor had been dry when I came in. I would have noticed that I always check for leaks. "Paulo," I whispered into the radio, "do you see any change in the room temperature here?" He paused. "No, nothing on my end." "Why? You okay?" I swallowed. "Yeah, just thought I felt something." I followed the footprints. I don't know why. Curiosity. Stupidity. They led deeper into the room, between two big pump skids, and then stopped. no more prints, just a dry, dusty floor. Something dripped behind me. I turned around. The valve I had just closed was now weeping, a slow, steady trickle running down the body, like the line was pressurized again. But it wasn't even connected to anything anymore. We'd blanked, the upstream side, it couldn't be. My hand went automatically to the flange. It was cold. Not cool, not plant at night cold. I mean refrigerator cold. And vibrating, just a little, like something was pushing from the inside. You ever get that feeling? I said out loud, to nobody. Like something on the other side of the metal knows, you're there. My voice sounded too loud in the room. Paulo, I said into the radio, trying to keep my voice steady. Are you sure? Line 3 is isolated. He was quiet for a moment. Then, what are you talking about? Line 3 doesn't exist in the system anymore. It's not on my screen at all. I stared at the leaking valve. You just told me you saw pressure and flow on line 3. I said the instrument showed a spike. Yeah, but that loop is decommissioned. It shouldn't even be sending a signal. I thought it was some leftover ghost reading. You're the one who said the valve was open. I didn't answer, because suddenly, in the corner of my eye, I saw the hand wheel slowly turn. Not fast, just the tiniest movement, like someone barely touching it, testing it. The leak grew stronger, trickling down to my boots. I stepped back so fast, I almost tripped over a pipe. My throat went dry. Paolo, I need you to kill power to this room. Everything. Now I told you, nothing is powered in there except the lights. The lights flickered again. Then the radio hissed with static and went dead. The silence that followed felt thick, pressing on my eardrums. I could hear my breathing. I could hear the drip, drip, drip of whatever was coming out of that line. I wasn't alone. I knew that like I know my own name. I backed toward the door, flashlight not leaving that valve. The hand wheel turned another fraction. On its own, the stem rising. The strange thing. The more it opened, the colder the air got, like something was leaking out that wasn't supposed to be on this side of reality. I didn't wait to find out what. I bolted, slammed the door behind me, locked it, and walked fast. Almost ran back along the corridor. I didn't stop until I saw the warm, ugly yellow light from the control room. When I stepped in, Paulo stared at me. Dude, what happened to you? You look like you saw a ghost. I checked his screens. No line 3. No weird pressure spikes. No alarm history. The instrument that had spiked wasn't even in the system anymore. We pulled up the maintenance logs. Line 3 was officially dead. The last person to sign anything there. Me. Closing valve L303. Tagging it out 3 months ago. We went back to the pump room together later that night. I didn't want to, but I also couldn't just leave it. When we opened the door, the floor was bone dry. No footprints, no leak. Valve was shut tight, tag still in place, exactly like in the picture from my old report. Only one thing was different. The tag, which I'd signed once, now had what looked like another signature under mine. Same pen color, same handwriting style, but I never wrote it. It just said, "Open again, you believe me? Because I've got a question for you. If metal can remember the last hands that touched it, what do you think happens in a place where everyone left in a hurry and nobody bothered to say goodbye?" People think night shift just means you get sleepy. They don't tell you about the way the silence starts to feel like it's thinking about you. My job as mechanical tech at the abandoned plant was pretty simple on paper. Do hourly walkthroughs, check equipment that shouldn't even be running anymore, sign off on a checklist so management could pretend everything was under control. One night, midweek, it was just me and a new operator, Lucas. Kid was maybe 22. Still believed in procedures and safety slogans. We were scheduled for extra walkthroughs because of some corporate audit. Around 9 in the evening, I did my first round. Normal. Lights humming. Pipes sweating a bit in the cold air. The usual. Second round, around midnight, was when things got weird. The walkthrough route started at the main compressor hall and ended in the old blending area, which had been shut down for years. We only kept a few emergency lights on there, and half of them were dead. The shadows did most of the decorating. I remember joking to Lucas before I left. If I don't come back in 30 minutes, I probably took a nap in a cable tray. He laughed. If you scream on the radio, I'll just mute it. I grabbed my clipboard, my flashlight, and a small adjustable wrench I always kept in my pocket. Don't ask me why, but having a tool in my hand always made me feel less exposed. The compressor hall was fine. I checked oil levels, temperatures, put my ear against a few casings to feel vibration. All normal. Then I moved down the walkway toward the blending area. The second you crossed the invisible line between live plant and abandoned section, you could feel it. The air changed. The smells went from hot oil and dust to damp concrete and old chemicals that never fully left. You ever walk into an empty building and feel like you're trespassing, even if you have the keys? That's what it felt like. I hit each checkpoint, ticking boxes on my sheet. Tank, farm, clear. Loading bay, clear. Blending room entrance, lights dim, no leaks, no weird noises. I stepped into the blending room and my radio crackled. I didn't catch the words at first, just a whisper of static, like someone breathed too close to the mic. Then I heard it clearly. Behind you. I turned around so fast, my flashlight beam swung all over the place. Nothing. Just a row of dead mixers and a stairway up to the old control platform. Lucas, was that you? I asked. No answer. Just a pop of static, then silence. I tapped the radio. It was working earlier. The battery was new. I told myself it was interference. Old cable trays overhead, metal everywhere. I forced a laugh, even though no one was there to hear it. Nice try. I went back to the checklist, but my heartbeat had sped up. My pen scratched against the paper louder than it should have. The next item was check blending platform. I hated that part. The stairs up were narrow and steep, with rust on the edges. The platform itself looked over the entire room. Perfect place to fall from, or, be pushed from. I climbed anyway. Duty, pride, stupidity, pick one. At the top, I did the usual scan. My light caught the old control panel, the dead monitors, the chairs left in random angles like people had just stood up and never came back. Then I noticed the clipboard. It was sitting on the console, same kind as mine, whiteboard, metal clip. But it wasn't dusty like everything else around it. Looked recently handled. I stepped closer. The checklist on it was the same format as mine. Same sections, same items, only this one was already filled out. Every box ticked. Same date, same shift. Same time window. At the bottom, in place of a signature, it just said, walk through, complete 2 technicians on shift. 2 technicians, I was alone. The other mechanic called off sick earlier that day. My skin crawled. I flipped back a page. Yesterday's date. Same thing, 2 technicians on shift. Day before that, same week. Before same, I checked the handwriting. Looked like mine, but not. Like someone had watched me fill out a form enough times to copy my style. Lucas, I said into the radio, voice shaking a little now. Did you come out here earlier and mess with my paperwork? His reply came back immediately this time. No, man, I haven't left the control room all night. Why? I stared at the clipboard. Nothing, just checking. I should have left it there. I know that, but I couldn't resist comparing it to my own checklist, so I laid my clipboard down next to it. That's when I noticed the timestamps. You know how you write quick notes like past tank farm around 9:30. Compressor hall okay around 10. Just scribbles to prove you went. The other checklist had the same times, same path, but always a few minutes before mine. Like someone had done the round before me. Right in front of me, every night. And next to some items, whoever it was, had added little comments in faint, cramped handwriting. Don't stop here too long. Still watching. Do not trust radio. My heart was pounding now. Sweat rolled down my back. I picked up that second clipboard and flipped to the very last page. There was a note on top, written bigger, like they'd finally run out of space in the margins. You are not doing these walks alone. Something moved in the far corner of the blending room, below the platform. I heard it more than saw it. A quick scuff of a boot on concrete. I crouched down to look over the railing. Someone was standing near the base of the stairs. A man in coveralls like mine, helmet on, head tilted down so I couldn't see his face. No lights, yet I could tell he was looking up at me. "Hey," I called, more angry than scared in that moment. "You're not supposed to be here alone. You with maintenance." He didn't answer, just shifted his weight and started slowly up the stairs. Every instinct in me screamed to back away, but I couldn't move. My hand clenched around the little wrench in my pocket, so tight my fingers hurt. "Lucas," I whispered into the radio. "Who else is on site?" "Nobody. Just us." "Why? What's going on?" The guy on the stairs kept climbing, one step at a time. Boots, not making a single sound now. He reached the top, and for a second, he was just a dark shape in front of me. Close enough to touch. I lifted my flashlight to his face. There was nothing there. Not nothing like a mask. I mean literally nothing. No features. Just the impression of a face under the helmet, blurred, like someone had tried to erase him but missed a few lines. Where his eyes should have been, there were two darker smudges, and I swear they got darker the longer I looked. "You shouldn't be up here," he said. Except his mouth didn't move. The words were inside my head, in my own voice. My legs finally caught up with my brain. I bolted past him, feeling a blast of cold as I passed. Raced down the stairs, nearly slipped on the last few steps. I didn't look back, not once, because I knew if I did, he'd be right behind me. I ran the rest of the walkthrough route in record time. The corridors blurred together. Doors, valves, tags, none of it mattered. I just needed a door that locked. I crashed into the control room, slammed the door, and leaned against it, panting. Lucas spun around in his chair. What happened? I couldn't speak for a full minute. When I finally did, I sounded drunk. "Did you ever feel like someone else is doing your job with you? Same routes, same notes, same mistakes." He frowned and pointed at the desk. "What are you talking about?" "Look, there were two clipboards on the desk. Mine, and another one. The other had older, yellowed pages. Same format, same routing sheet. The name at the top belonged to a tech who'd died in an accident at the plant years ago. I remembered the story. Everybody did. I flipped through it, expecting to see the same creepy notes, but it was normal. Real entries, real inspections, real handwriting, except the last page. The final walkthrough log, dated the night he died, ended halfway down the checklist. The last box he ticked, blending room platform, arrived. Not alone, no signature, just that. Lucas shook his head. "We shouldn't be up there anyway. That whole area's on the demolition plan. My cousin told me they found his helmet stuck under the platform after the accident. Like he'd been up there with someone else." "Someone else," I repeated. "Like who?" He stared at me for a long second. "Nobody knows." Cameras were down. Later that night, when my hands stopped shaking, I tried to redo the walkthrough. I made it as far as the blending room door. I couldn't go in. The checklist still has a blank spot for that area. Every night since, I'm technically failing the route, but nobody calls me out. Maybe because, deep down, every tech who's ever worked nights there knows the same thing I do. You never really walk this plant alone. You're just deciding whether you want to see who's walking a few minutes ahead of you. Would you go up those stairs? Be honest with me. If you've never stood inside the base of a cooling tower at night, don't. That's my professional advice. Our abandoned plant had this massive concrete tower at the far end of the property. We weren't using it anymore, but we kept the area under periodic inspection, which is corporate speak for send. Some poor idiot to go look at it once in a while and pretend it matters. That poor idiot was usually me. One windy night, around 1 in the morning, the operator on duty called me. "Hey, can you check the cooling tower area? I'm seeing some weird readings from a temp sensor out there. It's probably junk, but audit week. Audit week." The magic words. I sighed, grabbed my gear, and started the long walk across the yard. The farther you got from the main building, the more the sound changed. The hum of running equipment faded. replaced by this low, distant echo of the city and the constant rustle of wind through metal. The tower loomed ahead like a broken tooth against the sky. Inside the perimeter, the ground was uneven, with patches of standing water that smelled like stale algae and rust. My flashlight beam bounced off the concrete ribs of the tower. The structure swallowed the light, turned it into grey ghosts. The sensor in question was mounted on a small panel near the tower base. When I got there, the little indicator showed a temperature that made no sense way colder than the ambient air. Probably dead, I muttered, tapping it. Then the radio chirped. "You there yet?" the operator asked. "Yeah, sensor's bugged. It's reading like a freezer out here." He hesitated. "That's what I see too, and that doesn't make sense. There's no process running. Can you try resetting it?" I opened the panel and did the old unplug-plug routine. While I worked, I noticed something. Condensation forming on the inside of the metal door. Beads of water sliding down like sweat. Except the air on my face was normal, mild. My breath wasn't visible, but inside the panel, it looked like the metal was. Breathing, you ever open something mechanical and feel like you just opened an eye? I asked nobody. I put the panel back and took a step into the center of the tower base to check the supports, just to justify the trip. The ground there was a mix of concrete and old grating, just dry enough to echo when you walked. As I moved toward the middle, the temperature dropped. For real, this time, I felt it in my fingers first, then in my teeth. I turned in a circle, shining my light on the inside walls of the tower. Giant ring of concrete, stained, cracked, with streaks where water used to run. Nothing out of place, nothing obvious. Then I heard it. Not a voice, not a machine. More like a slow, wet, dragging sound, somewhere behind me and above me at the same time. Like something heavy was being pulled along the inside of the shell. I froze, light fixed on one spot, until my hand started to shake. The sound circled me. Drag, pause, drag. Every time it moved, the cold deepened. My radio hissed with static for a second, then went quiet again. "Control, you hear that?" I asked, even though I knew they couldn't. The operator replied, voice distant. "Hear what? Your signal's weak. You must be in a dead zone." Dead zone. Perfect choice of words. I walked backward toward the exit. Every step felt like I was pushing through syrup. The air got thicker, heavier, and that dragging sound followed me along the wall. When I reached the edge of the tower base, I made the mistake of looking straight up. For a second, I thought the darkness above me had shifted, thickened, like there was something clinging to the inner curve of the tower. Just a shade blacker than the night, it stretched between two concrete ribs, long and thin like arms. I blinked, it was gone. Just the sky and the faint outline of the tower rim. "Stop it," I told myself out loud. "You're tired. You're imagining shapes. Concrete doesn't grow arms." I stepped outside the tower, and the temperature immediately felt normal again. I could hear my radio clearly now. "Everything okay?" the operator asked. I lied. "Yeah, sensor glitch. I'll log it." On the walk back, I kept feeling like something was pacing me just out of sight, moving along the inside of the tower wall, matching my steps. When I stopped, it stopped. When I sped up, it dragged faster. You know that feeling when someone's walking behind you, but every time you turn, there's nobody there. Now imagine that, but with 20 meters of concrete between you and whatever's matching your rhythm. I made it back to the control room and filled out the maintenance log. Checked cooling tower sensor. Reset. Monitored for 5 minutes. No further anomalies. Total lie. I should have left it at that. But you don't survive as a mechanical tech without being stubborn. The sensor readings kept showing up in the historian. These weird dips in temperature, always around the same time at night, always sharper when the wind was low. So a week later, I went back. This time, I brought a small infrared thermometer. Around 1 in the morning again, I stepped into the tower base, pointed the thermometer at random spots on the wall. The readings were normal at first. Then, on the far side, the numbers started dropping. I shot the beam at one particular rib and watched the temperature fall and fall. way below what should be possible for exposed concrete. My hand started to shiver, not from the cold, but from what the numbers suggested. My brain kept whispering, "It's broken, it's broken," but I'd just tested it in the shop. That dragging sound started again, closer this time. It felt like it was just behind the wall, trying to find a way through. I stepped back, and my boot slipped on something slick. I caught myself on a support column and shined my light down. There was a trail on the floor. Not water, not oil. Something clear, thick, like slime, stretching in a faint line from one side of the tower to the other, disappearing into a crack I swear hadn't been there before. The air around that trail was so cold it made my eyes water. For the first time in my career, I genuinely thought, this is not mechanical. This is not process. This is wrong. My radio crackled again. Not the operator this time. Just one word, faint, drawn out, in a voice that sounded tired. Colder, it echoed in my head more than in my ears. I didn't answer. I just backed out, slow, trying not to slip, trying not to turn my back fully on that dark curve of concrete. At the perimeter, I looked back one last time. I swear to you, in the weak spill of my flashlight, I saw handprints forming on the inside of the tower wall. Not human ones, longer, thinner, pressing outward from the other side, leaving streaks of frost that melted a few seconds later. I reported the sensor as faulty and asked for it to be removed from service. They ignored the request. Months later, the plant officially shut down the entire area and put a big red nitrogen monoxide entry sign on the fence. Not because of what I saw, because it wasn't cost-effective to maintain. But every time I pass that fence, on my way to another part of the plant, I feel it. The air is always a little colder along that side. Even in summer, and sometimes when the yard is quiet and the wind dies, you can hear that dragging sound again, like something is slowly pulling itself higher inside the shell. I keep thinking about what cooling towers do. They take heat away. They bleed off energy into the air, spread microscopic bits of whatever's inside into the wind. We turned that tower off, left it empty, dead, but something in there didn't get the memo. Something that liked the cold and liked the idea of a hollow space to grow into. You ever wonder what happens when a place built to breathe for machines just stops? What moves in when the last bit of heat is gone and the last mechanic walks away? Because I'm telling you right now, that tower isn't abandoned. Not really. And if you stand inside it at 1 in the morning and listen carefully, you'll realize it too. Do you believe me now?